Well, hello everyone. I'd like to welcome all of you to today's Gopher Solutions webinar. My name is Tabor Sawatsky. For those of you who are new to our webinar series, this is a monthly webinar focusing on a variety of physical education subjects and topics. Past webinar topics have included PE teachers presenting on specific activities like assessment, fitness, and classroom management. Past presenters have included Dr. Robert Pangrazi, Dr. John Medina, and Jean Blades. Our presenters have done a great job of bringing useful topics and information to the field of physical education. Our webinars will almost always occur the third week of every month. All attendees of today's webinar will receive a certificate of participation for 1 hour of educational credit. Also today, all attendees will be entered to win the Action Team Thunderball set. It's a great team activity to develop throwing and catching with tons of activity, complete with activity guide and only from Gopher. It's valued at $399. Today's webinar is titled Why PE is Important, Necessary Information for PE Advocacy with Joe McCarthy. And before I introduce Joe, I wanted to mention that you will have the chance to ask questions during the presentation. Your questions are only visible to me, the moderator, so feel free to ask any questions you might have at any time during the presentation. Questions can be typed in the questions area on the right side of your screen, again, at any time during the webinar. We'll accumulate the questions throughout the presentation and we'll have a chance to address your questions with Joe at the end of the presentation. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing our presenter, Joe McCarthy. Joe is the physical education teacher at Meadowview Elementary School in Farmington, Minnesota. He currently serves as a board member for Shape America and Minnesota Shape, and is a member of Minnesota Healthy Kids Coalition and the District Wellness Committee. He has developed programs that increase academic success and reverse the trend in child obesity. His programs have also increased positive student behavior. He was awarded 2014 Dakota County Public Health Achievement Award, 2012 Minnesota AFERD Elementary Teacher of the Year, 2012 American Heart Association Volunteer Impact Award winner, and 2012 Active Schools Acceleration Project Midwest Regional winner of $25,000. At this time, I will turn it over to our presenter. It's all yours. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Tabor. And also, I would like to thank Gopher for allowing me to speak on an important topic of mine and as well as many of yours, which is advocacy and how we can promote our subject that we teach, which is physical education. What if one day someone walked into your gym and said, we are going to cut your physical education program due to budget cuts? What will be your argument in your defense of your PE program? What will be your evidence in keeping PE in your school? Do you have any data to support your claim that physical education is important to the school culture? Who will come to your defense? Parents, students, teachers? Take a moment to ponder the answer to these questions. This scenario is a reality in many districts nationwide. Physical education classes and programs are being eliminated or reduced because of budget reductions or the perceived need for increased time for academic core subjects in order to raise scores. Recent brain research findings support the importance of daily quality PE. It is important that physical educators keep current with the latest brain research that validates our profession. Promote your program. Read articles and publications in journals. Get on social media. Join your state, district, and national associations, and attend professional conferences and conventions. Be educated in state and national standards. Your best advocate is you and the students you teach. They are your best witnesses. This is an exciting time to be a physical educator. Physical education is central to the learning process of each and every child. Brain research is validating our profession. Because we know more about how the brain learns, we can better teach our students. You are the answer. You're not just a PE teacher. You're the most brain-compatible professional in your school. Be proud. Be informed. We teach children, not just content, but to the health and learning of our students is our #1 priority. Today we're going to take a journey on why we are here. No status quo in PE, brain science, fitness and achievement, and successful programs that you may want to implement into your school. We all know that exercise makes us feel better, but most of us have no idea why. We assume it's because we're burning off stress or boosting endorphins, and we leave it at that. But the real reason we feel so good after physical activity is that we are happier, we're healthier, and our brain is turned on. Why are we here? We are here to make a positive impact in our students' lives, to promote quality PE program in schools. And we are here to showcase that physical education is critical to educating the whole child. Teaching is not about the management of students to create an orderly classroom. Teaching is about building relationships with students to create a culture of learning. Every day we have an opportunity to make an impact in our students' lives, and that starts when they're walking down the hallway towards the gym. And if we're out there greeting us with a smile, they know that we care. If we call them by their names, they know that we care. If we engage in activities with them in the classroom, in the hallways, at recess, in PE, they know that we care. And once that they know that we care, they're going to try their best for us. And that's what we want. We are role models. We have the opportunity to shape our students' lives every day. Like sponges, children soak up everything. We need to share with them not only is movement fun, it also affects our happiness and our long-term future. As quality physical education teachers, we have the opportunity to develop every day. And one tool that we can incorporate is teacher lesson reflection. You know, at the end of every lesson, I ask myself these 3 things. Do students understand the lesson enough to teach it to others? Could they go home and teach that activity to their friends, to their family? Do they understand the purpose of the lesson? And finally, #3, where and how can they apply what they have learned? Do they understand the importance of that activity and how it can affect them later in life? It is our job to provide students with a product that they desire every day. You know, Starbucks comes to mind. I know when I go into a Starbucks, no matter what state I'm going to, they are going to deliver a quality product. And that is my goal. That should be our goal, is no matter what state, what school we go to, when you walk into that gym, you see a quality product that every student desires. And that needs to be our goal. If I was a school board member and I walked down the hallways to your gym, what would I see? Would I see any evidence of learning? Would I see any promotions of any programs coming up? For me, I have a whiteboard that says, "Welcome to physical education class, a place to move, learn, and have fun." And that's what I want my parents to know. Yes, they're going to move. Yes, they're going to learn. And yes, they're going to have fun. And when they leave, I want them coming back for more. I want them excited to learn the next activity we're going to do in class. On the other side, I have a bulletin board that shows active students. And I tell the students in September every year, bring in a picture of you being active, and I want to promote it. I want to promote healthy, active students here at our school at Meadowview. Inside, you know, if they're going to look at the walls inside your gym, what would they see? For me, a couple that come to mind. #1 is we always talk about in every grade level the importance of getting along with other students, the importance of working well with others, team building. And I ask every grade level, why is it important to work well with other students? How is that going to affect your success in our classroom here but also in the classroom, at recess, at home. And I tell them to ask their parents. Ask your parents the importance of the ability to work well with others and how it affects their attitude and their mood at their work. And the second poster on the right is why PE. Why is PE important to our school? And I want students' feedback on that. You know, I want our parents to know that your students feel that this class is important, and here's the reason why. Here's the evidence of learning on how PE affects our culture at our school and why it should not be cut. In fact, we want it increased. We want daily PE. And here's some evidence of learning, student engagement, and on how they feel why it's important. Thomas Jefferson said this: exercise and recreation are as necessary as reading. I will rather say more necessary, because health is worth more than learning. If the body be feeble, the mind will not be strong. And my former principal told me this: the mind and body are always connected. And make sure you let people know that. The mind and body are always connected. You may have seen this slide of two brains, one inactive, one active after 20 minutes by Dr. Charles Hillman from the University of Illinois. And it's important to know that at no matter what age you are, new neurons will always grow after movement. As John Rady would say, BDNF, miracle growth for the brain. Keep that body engaged, keep that brain learning. That way when the students go back to class, they're more alert, they're more well-behaved, and they have the ability to learn new things. But also important to know about the brain is that it's only 2% of your body weight, but it utilizes up to 25% of your energy. However, the brain stores no energy. So it's very important that those students are eating a healthy breakfast before they come to school or at school. You know, when you look at the brain and you talk about the frontal lobe, it's responsible for decision-making and higher order thinking. And in order for that to reach its peak, the brain needs to move. Blood needs to go to the brain with healthy nutrients. The center of the brain, the hippocampus, which is responsible for memory, but also the prevention of Alzheimer's. Again, that is turned on after movement. And in the back of your brain, the cerebellum, responsible for movement, balance, and motor control, motor development. Also, again, turned on the most after the brain. And what I tell my students is this: think of your food in the brain as like gas in your parents' car. If it's on empty, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to learn. However, if you provide nutrients that go to the brain through the bloodstream, you can travel anywhere you want. You're going to be more alert. You're going to be more well-behaved. You're going to be healthier, but also you're going to learn more. Because after activity, blood flow to the brain doubles. Vigorous activity in our classes gives the brain its nutrients it needs to survive, to grow, and to learn. Does physical activity make a difference? I believe it does. I'm going to share with you some data that proves that it does. Aerobic activity is a friend of learning. Immediately following aerobic exercise, these 7 things happen. Number 1, your memory is sharper. Number 2, improved on-task behavior during academic instruction increases. Number 3, reading comprehension improves. Number 4, response time and accuracy improves. Think about the game Jeopardy. Number 5, higher order thinking is enhanced. If you're going to enter a Google boardroom, they don't have tables and chairs. They have walking treadmills because they want their employees to be creative, alert, and engaged. And they know the research. They understand that the brain is turned on after movement. Number 6, self-control improves. And finally, number 7, it also improves your mood. Exercise has the same effect on the treatment of depression as medication. So we don't need to medicate our students. We need to get them actively engaged, either at recess, in the hallways, or more PE. Get them moving. Elaine Easton, Superintendent of Public Instruction at California Department of Education, said this: "We now have compelling evidence that the physical well-being of students has a direct impact on their ability to achieve academically. We now have the proof we've been looking for. Students achieve best when they're physically fit." Again, students achieve best when they're physically fit. Data slide number 1, California Department of Education study. They assessed 1 million students, and here's what they found. In grades 5, 7, and 9, they compared their academic achievement standards to their fitness level. And every time they assessed and achieved a new fitness level, their academic scores increased. Went up in math and reading. 3 years later, in 2004, they assessed 2.4 million students in Texas. And again, they found the exact same thing. As students' fitness levels increased, so did their test scores. But they also looked at 2 other things: school attendance and school behavior. And as you can imagine, the students became more fit, they became healthier, which means they were in school more often, they were on time, and they were engaged. And then school behavior. As those endorphins are released, dopamine, serotonin, their behavior also became more positive. They made better choices, they made better friendships, and they were in class. Next, the study in Illinois. 5 sections of 3rd grade teachers went to the principal and said, "Hey, we want to try something new. We want to go from 2 days of PE to everyday PE, and let's just see what happens." So the principal agreed and said, "Okay, let's do it. Let's see what happens." So as you can see, their cardiovascular endurance more than doubled. Their math improved, but look at their reading scores. Their reading scores more than doubled, just like their cardiovascular fitness. And that's important to know, that we affect the school day, we affect their test scores as well. So if your district wants to improve reading scores or literacy scores, show them the slide. Say, "Hey, I have a solution for you. Let's increase quality PE in our schools, and we'll get this data just like Illinois." And here's the most important one in my mind. Anthony Elementary in Leavenworth, Kansas. In 2004, Anthony Elementary increased their PE and PA from 1 day to every day. They also changed their lunchroom. They went from unhealthy foods to healthy foods. Anthony had 3 remarkable changes in 1 year. So this was a elementary school in a district of 10 schools. Number 1, there was a 1,300% increase in those passing the fitness test. Number 2, if you're going to speak to the principal or the classroom teachers or to parents, mention this one. They went from 10th in reading and 9th in math to 2nd in reading and 1st in math, which is unbelievable. And number 3, if you're going to speak to the school counselor or the psychologist, mention this one. Office referrals for discipline went from 438 down to 18. Now think about how much more freedom that principal is going to have and that school counselor is going to have to walk around, go to the lunchroom, read books, engage with them in the classroom, compared to the classroom or the school that has behavior problems all the time. And again, we need to advocate this more, promote it more to the decision makers, school board members, principals, and legislators. This data will get our foot in the door. Unfortunately, as the students leave elementary and they go to middle school and high school, PE is being cut in place of academic classes. And this is where we need to help our middle school and high school PE teachers to get them the data that shows PE is important and not sitting 90 minutes in a block. You know, think about your laptop. After 10 minutes, it shuts down, just like the brain. We need these students engaged in class, but also more importantly, daily PE, because it does show the impact of what it can do. If you're going to meet with a legislator, check and see if they're in the military. If they were, mention this study right here. The Department of Defense estimates that as many as 1/3 of military-age youth are ineligible for service because of their weight. 1/3. We have a solution for that. Daily PE. Number 2, $1 billion is spent on management of obesity and overweight in recruits. Again, they can save that $1 billion. Let's add in more PE, which is not going to cost that much, not nearly that much. In 2007, approximately 15,000 recruits failed physicals because of limits in their weight. Look at the slide before. PE is barely offered at schools, maybe extra in 3 years. If we can change that by adding in more quality PE, advocating for what we do is important, that's going to help our military. Because look at number 4, obesity and inactivity was the most common reason for medical disqualification. We can help with that. More daily PE. Do we have an obesity problem? Yes, we do. We also have an inactivity problem. And obesity is considered persistent at age 11. And those are my 5th grade students. When my 5th grade students leave me and they're inactive and they're obese, the likelihood of them changing is not very large, because it does cause problems in learners. Attendance. Overweight middle school students are 25% more absent and 39% more tardy compared to those healthy students. Academic achievement. Higher BMI is associated with lower standardized test scores. You know, as they sit and they eat unhealthy foods, the brain is not being utilized, nor is their fitness. And behavior. Overweight students are being picked on and bullied 3 times as much as healthy weight students. And that's sad. You know, they are being picked on. And they're not listening in class. They're not focusing because they're trying to think of how they're going to get to the next class while being picked on. With those students, we need help. And we can do that with increased PE in the school day. So how can we help? Let them play. As Albert Einstein once said, play is the highest form of energy or highest form of research. Play is often talked about as if it were a relief from serious learning. But for children, play is serious learning. This is their chance to be creative. This is their chance to problem solve and be active and make friends and make choices. We need to allow students to play, especially at the elementary level. We need to allow them to get outside and enjoy nature. This is a picture of my 5-year-old last summer, and we spent 60 minutes outside, 30 minutes raking and 30 minutes of just playing. And we both had a great time. We both made memories. It was relevant to him. It was personal to me. And this is what we need to allow our students to do, is get out there and enjoy nature. In the last 30 years, kids walking and biking to school went down from 40 to 15%. In the same time period, childhood obesity tripled. The latest research says sedentary jobs have increased 83% since 1950. So if we know our students are going to be inactive later in life with their jobs, it is our job now to hook them, to get them to love to be active, no matter what they do. If it's raking the leaves, playing tag or being involved in the sport, we need to hook them now. So later in life, they're going to be active, they're going to be healthy, and they're going to enjoy life. For learning to occur, it must be personal, it must be relevant. Do I get partial credit for simply having the courage to get out of bed and face the world today? You know, think of the hobbies that you have. You have them because you get something out of them. It's something that you desire and want to go back to do again and again. And just like with our students, we need to teach activities and games that allow them to enjoy it and desire it and go home and share it with their parents. Mom and Dad, guess what I did in PE today? Guess what I did in physical education class today? And if it's personal and relevant, they're going to want to come back. You know, our students are our biggest advocates besides ourselves. And for many of us, like me, I'm the only teacher that teaches FIAD in my building. So if I advocate, who's going to? Next, I want to share you about a program that we do in our district and that I've done since 2008. It's called Literacy Physical Education. And we heard about the research that was being done in Naperville, Illinois, called Zero PE Hour. And what these students are doing is they're being bussed in early to help with their reading scores in the gym. So we thought, hey, maybe we can do this at our elementary level, so let's just try it, see what happens. So the program, Lit PE, is designed to help a specific grade that is behind on the statewide reading assessment. And in Minnesota, there's a November test and there's a January test, which to a 3-week window of opportunity to make a positive impact on their test scores. So I will take the lowest 30 readers, let's say, and I'll bring them down to the gym in the morning, and these students will be active in class, in the gym. We will embed fluency, comprehension, and spelling into fun movement games. And then they'll take the test again in January and look at our data. These kids will more than double their peers and up to 5 times the national average in only 12 weeks for only 15 minutes a day. And this program will cost you less than $100. We use whiteboards that I got from my curriculum director, markers that my principal will buy me every year, and just some socks or towels that your custodians might have or kids could bring in. And for the classroom teacher, you know, I take them 15 minutes in the morning, but that is lunch counts and attendance and buses coming in late, so they're missing no instructional time, but what they're getting is increased test scores, increased fitness, but also self-empowerment, feeling better about themselves. The next one is running club. In our district, we have paid recess noon supervisors, which means we have the opportunity to go outside, make some extra money, and supervise a grade level. And I go outside with first grade, and I see first graders sitting, which concerns me. You know, this is their chance to move, and some of them are sitting. So I created a running club, which allows students to either walk or run this half-mile grass course that we have outside our playground. And there are already many students who are being active, and that's not my concern. My concern is those students who are sitting. How can I get them engaged? How can I get them to be active? So what I do is this, is I have students, they go out, they walk or run, takes them no more than 5 minutes. They still have 15 minutes to play. But when kids come in, they find their name they find their name on the poster, and they put a sticker next to their name. And every 10 stickers, they'll have ran or walked 5 miles, which is increased fitness, but they'll also come down to me for a donated prize, like a silly band or a pencil or an eraser, which means nothing to me, but for them it's everything. It's self-empowerment. It's, Mom and Dad, look what I accomplished. I did this, and I got this. And some students don't want the incentives, which is fine, but some of them do. For some of them, it's motivation just to keep going, to keep moving. But in class, we talk about goal setting, we talk about pacing, we talk about heart rate, great things that allow them to learn, I'm going too fast, I need to slow down, let's check my heart rate. And every 10 stickers, there's a new destination, Wisconsin Dells, Valley Fair, Twins game, something to aspire to try to get to that next location. And the kids love it. Last year, over 70% of our students volunteered to do this program. They're doing it. And at our school, we have 700 students, so it's a fairly large group who chose to do this, to be active, to join running club. Next is JAMmin and Go Noodle. Many of you have heard of these programs. If you have not, two outstanding programs that allow students to be active in the classroom. Go Noodle is much more animated, uses a smart board, it has fun creatures in there, animals that will get students engaged, and you kind of follow them, and then you just do what they do. JAMmin will give you 5 fun movements and also a nutritional tip. And what I do differently is I will go down to a 5th grade classroom and I will teach them the 5 movements. And in return, these students, these 28 5th graders, will go by themselves to the 28 classrooms and teach JAMmin that morning, every day for 5 days. And for those 5th graders, they're developing leadership, communication, and responsibility skills, which will help them be a positive leader later in life. And if you look at the cone of learning, those students, also students in PE, are at the very bottom. They practice by doing, but they're also teaching others, which allows them to remember more because the hippocampus is turned on and they're ready to learn. Another program that we do is Century Club. I only see my students for 25 minutes. Teach 12 classes a day for 25 minutes, and I see the students twice a week. So I wanted students engaged in the classroom. I want students engaged at recess, but I also want students being active at home. Century Club is a program designed to create more physical activity outside the school day. And this program for 4th and 5th grade students at my school. And these students will also, in art class, draw their own tennis shoe, and they love that. So we combine this program with our art program. And what these students will do is they'll be active at home. And essentially it's a homework for them. But the beauty of the program is that the homework, they choose the homework. Whether it's walking the dog, playing a neighborhood game, or being involved in a sport, it doesn't matter. As long as it's personal and it's relevant to them, that's most important. And here's what the mileage form, they write their name on it, their teacher, the week, and their parents have to sign off on it. And hopefully the parents are being engaged with the students. So it's a max of 2 points per day, 14 points per week. And I have a rubric for them to accomplish to get an A, B, C, or D. If it's non-vigorous, they get 1 point. If it's vigorous, they get 2 points. So again, we talk about goal setting, pacing, heart rate, and just being active for yourself, for the health of your future. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, keep moving forward. And that's what I want students to do, just keep being active, because it affects you positively so many ways, with your health, with your heart, with your brain, and with your mood. Because we know if they're active now, they're going to be active later in life. Let's raise physically literate children in an effort to create healthy adults. So what have you done to advocate for your PE program? Thank you if you use social media. For me, Twitter is my best professional development. Twitter, I learned so much on Twitter. And now Voxer and LinkedIn, there's just so many great things and so many great advocates out there that if you're on Twitter, you know what I mean. If you're not on Twitter, get on it. You can learn new ideas, new lesson plans every week. You can learn how to assess students more effectively on Twitter. You can learn about reflection resources and tools. You can learn about technology and how to use iMovies, how to use iPads, how to use iPods into your classrooms, how to integrate social media. It's so important nowadays. If you've written an article to the local newspaper, thank you. If you have not, I strongly advise you, promote your program or promote another teacher in your district. The more we can shine the light positively in our state, in our area, the more parents are going to know about us. And hopefully it goes back to those decision makers. Did you hear about this person, what they're doing? Invite them in. All of you are doing such great things, invite them in, because if they don't know about you, they're going to cut you. When it's time to cut $1 million and they don't know about you, they're going to cut you, and then it's too late. So make sure that you are being proactive and not reactive. Number 3, if you have presented at a conference, thank you. Thank you for showing your expertise. If you're not, try it. Number 4, if you have invited your principal or your administration into your classroom, thank you. And finally, number 5, if you've shared a PE lesson with your colleagues, thank you. You know, if you find something that you feel can benefit others, share. No one benefits from hoarding ideas. Share. Let others learn from your great activities, your great programs. In order to have a quality phys ed program, we need to reflect and collaborate with other educators who share a same passion as you. Quality physical education will not happen until you get teachers with a hunger for professional development and a passion, bucket full desire to learn and teach. And number 3, quality PE prepares students with skills and knowledge to be and want to be active for a lifetime. And that's what we want. We want students active now and active students for a lifetime. Moving does matter. Dr. Jocelyn Elders, former U.S. Surgeon General, said this: you can't educate a child who isn't healthy, and you can't keep a child healthy who isn't educated. Last year, I had the opportunity to testify in front of our Senate Finance Committee. And after my brain PowerPoint for an hour, one of the representatives put her hand over her head, shook it in disgust. And when she pulled her hand out in front of her eyes, she said this: I can't believe my daughter's favorite subject in high school is PE. She couldn't believe her daughter's favorite subject is the one that we teach, which to me is so disheartening. And for us in Minnesota and many of you in your states, this is the uphill battle that we face every day, every month, every year. That's why it's so important that we advocate for what we do. Because after that, I have 3 legislators and say, thank you, thank you, thank you. We didn't know what you do has such a profound impact in our students' learning, their fitness, and their behavior. And they told me that we need to share this with them. Go to the school board conference. Go to the elementary principals conference, the high school conference, the middle school conference. Get on their docket and share with them what you do. Because they need to know, and they want to know. So get in contact with the American Hearts in your state. Get in contact with your state organization. Get in contact with your Cancer Society in your state and your Healthy Kids Coalition. Get in contact with them. They're benefits, they're advocates just like we are. They may have resources that we don't have that can help us make other contacts, maybe such as lobbyists, or help you write papers, or get on the radio or TV ads, but get in contact. Those of you in Minnesota, on March 25th, advocates across from Minnesota will be in St. Paul asking lawmakers to put kids first and invest in more and better quality PE. We are going to have a Minnesota Healthy Kids Lobby Day in Minnesota. It's on March 25th in St. Paul from 8 to 4 at the Reset. Interested in Minnesota in helping the fight for more PE, daily PE, contact me, or I will also send out a link. But please advocate with other professionals in your district, your state, to get in contact with those legislators on more quality PE. They want to know and they need to know. And I'm going to leave you with this. Your legacy is what you do every day. It's every person whose life you've touched. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks a lot, Joe. And we have a number of questions from our audience. Just a reminder to everybody, on the right-hand side of your screen, feel free to ask any questions that maybe you were thinking about throughout Joe's presentation, and we'll get to as many of them as we can here in the time that we have left. One question I wanted to address right off the bat, a number of people have asked if the PowerPoint will be available to our audience. We will send a link to the PowerPoint along with your certificate of participation to the email that you provided when you registered for the webinar, so everybody in attendance today will get a copy of that. So question, Joe, for you to kind of start off. One of your slides talked about aerobic activity and the academic benefits. And the question is, how do you ensure that kids get the length and the intensity of activity needed for those for the benefits of aerobic activity?
Great question.
And specifically, I guess, as it pertains to the academic benefits.
Yeah. And, you know, the biggest distractor of time and movement is teachers talking. So it's very important to get those students engaged in activity as soon as they enter the gym, but also that culminates throughout the entire lesson. For me, you know, my lessons or my class will last for 25 minutes. So the longer that those kids can be engaged, the more success they're going to have academically when they leave you and they go back to the classroom. Mm-hmm. So the answer is keep them engaged as much as you can. Okay. You know, what I do is, you know, every couple of months I have a teacher's aide time me. Mm-hmm. You know, my goal is 70%. I want students engaged and active.
Right.
But also use heart rate monitors. Use pedometers that will also help them track movement and the intensity level of your lesson.
Okay, good. And then for, you know, teachers who are advocating for, you know, more PE, I think a lot of teachers do that. You know, in your opinion, you know, frequency versus length of time for PE, I think you said you have your kids twice a week for 25 minutes each, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so ideally, would you rather have them, you know, more often or for a longer period of time?
Well, think of it as this. You want to eat all your calories in one day? The answer is no.
You cut out a little bit there. What was that?
Okay. I said, do you want to eat all your calories for 7 days on Sunday?
No.
The answer is no. For me, I want to see more often.
Okay.
You know, I had a choice for either 1 day at 15 minutes or 2 days for 25 minutes, and I chose the 2 days for 25 minutes. I want to see them more often. I want them to see me more often. I want them excited to come back to my class twice a week rather than only once a week.
Right.
So for me, the answer is more often is better.
Okay. Question regarding, you know, how to demonstrate to administrators, you know, particularly probably the principal in your building, that physically fit kids, you know, perform better academically in your school. I think, you know, a lot of PE teachers are aware that this research is out there and they've seen the studies and the slides, but what would your advice be to teachers to take that and do something with it real world in their class to be able to show, you know, their principles that some of the things that are happening in PE can benefit academically? Because I think even the administrators are aware of these things, but they don't necessarily know that it would work in their school.
Correct. You know, for us, you know, about 7 years ago, we presented to our local school board. And one of them said, okay, here's the data, but I want you to create a program that shows the relevance of what you do is important. So I think it's important that you create a program at your own school that can demonstrate that when activity is increased, test scores also increase, as well as positive behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer is you got to create your own program that shows, like we do with our Lit PE. Our Lit PE shows that when students are engaged in more fitness, test scores go up, but also behavior decreases. So It's a win-win.
So I suppose the starting place is to get your hands on some of those maybe behavior incidence reports and things like that, so that you have some baseline data to start comparing to.
Yeah.
Question along the lines of the literacy PE program that you started. Was that 15 minutes per day in the morning?
Yes. It
Okay.
could be at any time, and the best data you're going to get is if it's 15 minutes before their hardest class.
Okay. And that kicked in like 3 weeks before your state testing, is that correct?
So in Minnesota, you have a January test, you have a November test, and a January test. You have 12 weeks in between. So you already have your baseline data in November.
Right.
And then from November to January was our 3 weeks or 12 weeks of Lit PE. And then you have your post data test in January.
Okay. All right, so I see what you're saying. And how did you develop your curriculum for the Lit PE program, and how much involvement did you get from classroom teachers in doing that, and how much involvement did they have in the 15 minutes?
It was a combination of PE, classroom teachers, and a reading specialist.
Okay. So take us through what that looked like a little bit. I think there's a lot of people that have questions. I think they understand the concept of it and are kind of excited about it. But take us through what a 15 minutes looked like.
Sure. So let's say one activity is called comprehension.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's say Tabor and I are partners, and we have whiteboards on one side of the gym and with an answer sheet. Down on the other side of the gym is a paragraph. So we talk about subjects, nouns, verbs, topics, topic sentences, things like that. So Tabor would read the question. He would run down there, read through the paragraph. When he found the answer, you'd run back, and then I would go. And then we'll continue that for 15 minutes. And then whatever skill you're also teaching that week, utilize that. So if you're doing basketball, have students dribble down and dribble back. If you're doing floor hockey, have them stick handle down and back, or have them jump over hurdles or run in between cones. So that way you can get increased motor skill development, but also increased test scores.
Okay.
So it's one lesson every day for 15 minutes, and I have 70 lessons that I can send to whoever wants them.
Okay, great. That's awesome. All right. Question about, you went over a lot of different things. You had, the Lit PE, the running club, the JAMmin Minute. Question was, just in general about your schedule and how you get, that much time with kids. So maybe, just take us through a typical day that might involve, a number of these things, because I think you hit on a broader topic of, the activity that kids need can't all happen within the physical education classroom, and
Correct.
You've developed a lot of different areas for kids to be active. So maybe touch on how that works from a scheduling standpoint for your type of day.
Yep. Our duty day at our school is from 8 to 4. So I arrive at 8 o'clock. My first class starts at 9:10, and I do Lit PE during my prep time, which is not something I'm asking all of you to do, but for me it's important that I could get data that supports quality PE and how it affects test scores. So I needed to do that for me personally. And I go outside for recess, and I get paid to do that, so I go outside for the running club. And then the after-school century club, that's on their own. That's a free program that anybody could do, and the parents love it. But also, I've raised over $50,000 in the last 3 years from companies and organizations like Gopher supporting healthy, active students. Mm-hmm. And last summer, I went down to Dallas, and I went to a Gen Youth conference. And up on stage was the president of Quaker and Dell and some other important companies. And what they told us is, we have resources, we have tools, we have money, except no teachers come to us to ask. So as teachers go to these companies, they have resources, but they don't know how to connect with you. So it's very important that if you go to them and you say, I got a program I want to do, I need your help, I lack the resources, can you help me? Never once have I been turned down.
Wow.
And I'm going to keep doing it because I want healthy, active kids. You know, our school is in the top 3% academically in the whole state. And I believe that's a part of our students are healthy and they're active and they're engaged every day.
All right, I think that's going to wrap up our questions here for today. And before we let everybody go, we want to announce the winner of our attendees. So the winner today of our Action Team Thunderball set, again, we mentioned this at the beginning, it's great activity. It develops throwing and catching. Tons of activity embedded into this, comes with a lesson guide and all of the equipment, is Julie Lynch, and she is from Dennett Elementary School in Massachusetts. Also a reminder that all of you will receive here shortly in a couple of days your certificate of participation for being a part of this webinar, and also keep an eye out for notification of future webinars. Again, they will almost always occur on the third week of every month. We thank you very much for being a part of this webinar. Joe, we thank you also, and we hope to see you back here at another one of our webinars soon. Thank you very much.